Hey everyone, welcome back. This is a run through of, or my take on an ephemera file. I've watched a lady called Tracy Fox and she did a brilliant one. Very loved it. I thought it could be so useful. I've done it slightly different, but this is very much inspired by her. So I've got, it is actually covered in fabric, and I've used paper as a lining, and oops, as I said, very much an ephemera file. That's it. That's not good. There we go. So a quick flip through before I get to the process bit. Oh my words. It's not finished. It is very much a work in progress. I did decide in the end to use elastics because I just thought it was going to make life easy. So this is my version of it. I hope you find the tutorial or my thought processes useful for it, and I will put a link underneath to the people that have so much inspired this. Right, we will start. Right, so these are the materials I've got together to, so for the cover, I've got some fabric. Oh, it helps if I put it up the right way. So we have some fabric. It's fabric, it's upholstery fabric, I think. I've used it for journal covers in the past. And the heat and bond, which makes the sandwich. And this is designer paper that I'm never going to use. So that's what I'm going to line it with in there. For the inside pages, I've got, if I can pick them up, 5 sheets of, I think it says, what's it say on here? 150 GSM. It's out of a back to basics cardstock thing. You know when you see a pattern and you think, oh, I like that, and you buy the complete pack and it gets shoved at the back of your cupboard. So I thought, right, okay, time to use it up. It is plain on the one side. I thought about printing on it and then thought, well, I'm going to hide it, so there's not really much point. These were 12 by 12, and I've cut them down to, so she's not been A4 size. So for me, that's just over 11 3/4 by 8 1/4. The cover I've made to fit the A4 size paper. You can make it to whatever size you want, obviously. So the cover is 8 1/2 by 12. Yep. I've made it about 1/4 inch bigger all the way around, just to, like when you're making a journal. I mean, this would be, actually thinking about it, I'm not keen on soft cover journals because I can't do them properly. So I might actually give this a go. Right, we need to iron all our stuff together. So I'll sort my desk out and then come back. Right, as you can see, I've got, oh, excuse me. So fabric first, although you can do this whichever way you want, I think. And then I've cut everything hopefully the same type of size, so I don't make too much of a mess. And I'm told you're supposed to start in the centre and work your way out. No steam on this, because obviously the adhesive. This is what I find, that my fabric actually melts if I get the iron too close to it. You just need to make sure everything is, the edges especially, are in place. This is so easy, it's brilliant. Okay, need to let that cool for a moment. And then supposed to peel off the backing. except it's not plain ball. There we go. Now, because I'm doing this and it's a bit warm, it is still a bit tacky. Ideally, you'd leave that just to cool. So, nice shiny side. What do we want? That one. I think we'll go for that one. These offcuts off the heat and bond, I keep them to do my distress ink on when I'm going around the edges. Brilliant stuff. Doesn't cost me anything and they can be thrown away after. Right, so place your paper on top, hopefully without moving it. That's not quite. Not that I'm a perfectionist or anything. Do you know what? That'll do for the moment. And then iron your paper to the heat and bond. I watched Gail do her fabric paper and I thought it was wonderful. And then I thought, oh, I haven't got time to do that and let it all dry. So this is my version of fabric paper, I suppose. So that is now stuck to that. I will need to trim around the edge where I've... Blimey, that's hot. I know, it's an iron. As you can see, I don't actually use an iron very often. That's what my husband does, bless him. And that is your cover. How easy is that? How painless is that? And a great way for me to use up all my bits of paper that I'm never going to use. And I've managed to get the paper on the right way. Oh, result. Right, that's the cover done. Although I think I'm going to stitch around the edge. Just to make sure that the heat and bond doesn't come away, although it seems pretty solid. So if you don't want to stitch, by all means don't. This fabric looks like it's going to fray everywhere. So I think I'll just run a line of stitching down it and then we'll do the inside. See you in a moment. Right, I've been and sewn around the edges. Oops. I don't think it needed it, if I'm honest, but it just made me feel better putting a bit of stitching on it. And what I have done is I've actually scored down the middle, because I went to bend it over and then I found that it was creasing and just didn't... So I suppose you could stitch it down the middle, actually, depending on how you're going to do your... attach your pages. And that, I have to admit, is something I haven't thought about at the moment. I've got my pages, I've scored them down the middle, folded them up, and they will fit inside quite nicely in there. I can't decide whether to do it with as like a kind of faux Midori insert, so elasticated, just stitch these together and use elastics to put them in. It would give me the option of expanding, or whether just to sew that in and be done. Don't know. So, pockets. What have I got for pockets? I found a load of these in my cupboards when I was clearing out. Inkjet Film Clear. And these are A4 because I'm in the UK, and 100 microns thick. Now you can use tracing paper, vellum, whatever you've got to hand. I have run out of vellum at the moment and figured that these would make excellent pockets. So I thought I'm going to do a few sheets, but, and it's a big but, wasn't sure how to attach them. So I've had a bit of a play. Now the light's not, if I move that out of the way so we don't get the glare. So the bottom one is glue, and I like that. Move these out the way. That one is double-sided tape, but it's yellow. Now whether it's because I've used a cheap tape, I'm not sure. And that one is tape gun. I don't know if you can actually, there we go. So that one is the tape gun, and that one is probably the clearest. Or the glue has left a mark, but it's I'm a lot more, I can't get rid of the glare. There we go. You're gonna, unless you actually stitch them, you're gonna get, I think it's gonna be a mark all the way across. So I thought, okay, I'll stitch them on, and then figured that I'd have to have pockets exactly the same on both sides to be able to stitch without catching the other pocket. And I didn't think I was really up to that. Now this for me is going to be for all my die cuts. I have tons and tons of die cuts. I have a mad one every so often, get the big shot out and just cut loads of these. They all get tangled up, I can't find them. So I need somewhere to put these. So I figured out that what I need, oh, and I've also got big ones, but I figured for that one, I'm going to put a pocket on the outside or on the cover. So I can just slot those into the cover and use those. So for these ones, I've measured up, let's get rid of the bottom pages. And I've left, there's about 1/8 of an inch, if I square it up properly. There's about 1/8 of an inch, just so I don't get any bulk around the score line in the middle. And I think I'm just going to go for it and glue it on. On the white, this kind of predominantly white paper, it doesn't really make much of a difference, I don't think. And I love this glue. But as you can see, I'm not the most precise of people. And it's going to show. But seeing as this is just for me and a purely practical application, I mean, it's nice if it looks pretty, but it's not essential. And as you can see, I have put too much glue on. Now I'm hoping that will clear up a lot more. And then I've got two smaller ones. So one, this film, this printable film has like a rough side, textured side, which I've never printed on it. I'm assuming is for the print. So I figured if I put 3 in like that, then that will be fine for these particular ones that I've got in mind, although I will, I think, have a swap around. As, you know, you print off like little labels, and I have a few different die cuts that I need to home in a way that I can actually find them again, rather than, as always happens, I stick them in a box and then I can never find. That's what I loved about this. I watched Tracy Fox and it was one of those moments. So if I just try and get that up to the edge, hopefully that will be quite straight. and smooth the glue as I go along. I might have to dash off in a minute. One of our young ladies has got a lady coming round. Hopefully I can get this done before she gets here. And it really is a question of, I suppose, seeing... I watched, I think it was Tracy Fox do it for Ephemera. And I think I might copy that idea and do the same for my smaller ones, certainly. And that, I'm hoping, is relatively straight. It's not the prettiest. And the trouble with this is it marks. I think I've just made that worse. Oh no, that's better. Right, so I would consider those to be pretty much done. Certainly for these little ones. Hey, I've got somewhere to keep this. Thank you, ladies on YouTube. You are wonderful. Such an inspiration. Oh, I think maybe I should have put a little hole, thumb hole. That's the word I'm looking for. Thumb hole. What else we got in here? So we have tags of different sizes. And that is how I'm thinking I'm going to put this together. Like I say, I'm not sure how I'm going to do the binding. In fact, I might not even do any binding. You could leave it loose leaf with elastic down the middle. And then I am going to put a closure on there. I'm going to have to figure that one out. Right, I'm going to go... So that's how you work out your pockets anyway, or I've worked out my pockets. I'll go and figure out the binding and I will come back, not the binding, the closure, and I will come back when I've got that bit sorted. See you in a minute. Wow, I've sorted out what kind of binding I want on it, and I've also been and put some loads of extra pockets in. I went for 2 on that side. I have some very tall die cuts, and then I've not sorted everything out yet, but I thought I'd give you an idea of how I've laid mine out. So this book really is just going to be for my blanks, so loads and loads of tag blanks. And then in the middle here I've got all the words that I use, that I print out. I haven't finished the rest off yet. That just gives you an idea of how I've done mine. I've decided I'm not going to actually sew anything in. I am going to use elasticated cord, and do it as a faux dory, except I'm not going to stitch the pages together, because I've only got 5 pages in there and I think I can get a load more in. So that big one takes some getting for me. I found it difficult. So I'm using big, what are they called? The eyelets. That's what I'm looking for. I think I'll go for black because I never really use those ones. Now I know the setting on these is A for that one and 2, if I can show you, 2 on the top for that one. And as for the hole, which one does it fit into? So it won't fit into that top one, but it will fit into that one. So that's the size hole I know I need to make. So if I trying to avoid my stitching, punch a hole through. It's going to be messy because of the fabric that I've used to make the cover. Trying to get it on the centre line. Oh, very messy. I want one of those on. Ooh. The way I thought I'd do it is leave myself enough room to put 2 strings in, rather than getting my fingers work, rather than just putting the one in. So what I would normally do is just put a button through at the top. So I leave myself enough elastic. Miles too much. Yep. Anybody has a good way of storing this elastic, please let me know. I just get into such a mess with it. So what I tend to do, thread the button through. Trying to sort of equal them up. I find it not always necessary, but makes me feel better. Thread those through the hole. And what I will do is actually put some glue on that, just to hold that in place. And then down through. I am going to need one on the bottom. Be good. Right, let's put that on. I'm getting ahead of myself. So that fits through the hole. And my crocodile very kindly shows me on the side which bit I've got to put in. Give it a quick spin, make sure I've got it in properly. And squeeze. So I have my 2 elastics. Through the bottom. Okay. I need another little button. I like buttons, they're useful. Fiddly, especially when you've got fingers like mine that don't work particularly well. That's a very cheats way of putting an elastic. And then I can just tie it off. And then that's kind of, I find the middle. I've then got my pages in, well, one lot of pages. And I'm hoping that will hold it steady, and then I've got room to add some more on that side Because I think that should take a whole load of pages. I will tidy that up. Right, the fastening I want to put in, same principle, except elastic round the middle. So I've got it set to 3/16 on the hole punch, and I want to get it somewhere in the middle. And then for me, I just do the same thing again with elastic that doesn't want to play ball. So I want it to come out of the back there and wrap around. Now if I'm clever, I can leave myself a bit of a dangle, so I can put a couple of beads on the back. So I've pulled it reasonably tight to hold it, left myself a load to do. Now I am going to put one of these in because I want it to look reasonably tidy. Now then, it's got to go on that way. So swap the top, which I normally forget to do, and squeeze. Blimey, it's worked. Wow. It doesn't normally. That's why I'm thinking. Okay. Now I'm going to use the same principle. I'm going to thread it through a button to hold it on the back. Simply because it's quick, it's easy, and there's not too much thinking involved. Obviously, if you want to cover it up, you put it on, then you can put some paper on the top. But I'm hoping that that won't dig into that. And I will glue the button down to hold it all in place. And then the principle is then if I just tie a simple reef knot, then I can undo it as it expands. Tie it around the middle, left over right, right over, no, is it right over left, left over right, makes a knot very tight. And then that will keep it together and give me expansion when I need it, I hope. That's the idea, anyway. So I need to tidy all these bits up, and then I think we are good to go. So the idea is to put a couple of beads, I think, on the bottom, or maybe even just leave them. That I need to chop off. Get rid of those bits. And then that is a very quick and easy spine. Well, I think that's about the end of it. I need to put a ton more pockets in. I've got loads of bits of this acetate left, which I think I'm going to be using as pockets. So I've got, if I just run through the pockets, so it's the outside, it seems a shame to waste that. I put 2 down the centre to go for my very tall ones, and these ones for my other die cuts. I've got a load of the other die cuts somewhere which I need to sort out. This I've made as a kind of tuck spot, as you would with a let's move the light out, as you would with a journal. It's just, I thought, you know, that's perfect for keeping those. And then I've got one big side pocket there and one big pocket at the bottom to keep all my tags, all my blanks in. And then little decent sized pocket at the bottom. I think it's about 2.5 inches, that one. And then quite small ones to keep all my other bits in. And then I'm going to dig out all my fussy cut. I've got loads of fussy cut images. And then I've worked the pockets as I've been getting ephemera, all my bits. I'm thinking, okay, what size pockets do I need? And for me, I think that is brilliant. So I will credit Tracy Fox at the bottom, the lady that gave me the original idea. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Right, well, I hope you've enjoyed my version of it, and I will speak to you all later. Take care. Bye.